They want to know if that's a purebred French Bulldog. It's not my line. I don't know who XB is. But anyway, the answer is that a purebred bloodline? Well, no, so the question becomes, how the hell do you tell what is a purebred dog and what isn't? Well, I mean, the first thing is that whenever you start talking about purebred dogs, you're talking about some organization who is then crediting that line of dogs to be purebred. So in the United States, typically it's the American Kennel Club. In England, it's the United Kingdom Kennel Club. And there's other organizations. In Canada, it's the Canadian Kennel Club. So there are organizations who, when they give you paperwork for a dog, they say this is a purebred dog. And the reason we can say that is because there's a history of pedigree that goes back so many generations that shows that they were all in the same lineage. That then becomes, hopefully, a purebred dog. So I'm getting at here, is you have an original pairing. You've got a male and a female, and they then have a litter of puppies. And so those puppies, let's say they produce 4 puppies. Puppy number 1, puppy number 2, puppy number 3, puppy number 4. Those dogs are then bred to other AKC registered dogs. So let's just pretend that these are all females. This is bred to male number 1. This is bred to male number 2. This is bred to male number 3. Maybe it'll be bred to the same male. And those then, of course, then produce their own offspring. And so it goes on. And, I may have had 7 dogs there, so on. So this dog right here, how do we know that's a purebred dog? Because there is a chain all the way back to, and every dog associated with this puppy, so the parents of this puppy, and the parents of this puppy, and the parents of these puppies have all got an AKC number, which means that you believe that they are purebred dogs. All right, so that would be what we mean by a purebred dog. So now let's just talk about what the heck this even means in the first place. Because obviously, if you go far enough back, then, they weren't purebred dogs. They were wild dogs. And if you go back, it's called a canine dog. If you go back far enough, they all come from some common ancestor. And of course, evolution would say they came back from something else. There's whales and all kinds of other things that are in the ultimate pedigree of that dog, or you and me. So then the question really becomes what is a purebred dog? Well, remembering that no dog or creature on this earth came about just from its own species. It had to have been handed down over many, 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 many generations. How many generations does it get before essentially the dog has the majority of its genes being associated with, for example, a French Bulldog? And I think generally that the general rule of thumb is 10 generations. If you can go back 10 generations, then you can say that that is a purebred. If all those generations are supposedly all from the same lineage, French Bulldogs, then, so why would that be? So let's just look at 8 generations, and let's just see what the number of dogs that stand behind this. So you've got the initial one, then this produced a dog, that then produced a dog, that then produced a dog, So you've got the first generation, the second generation, the third generation, the fourth generation, the fifth generation, the sixth generation, the 7th generation. Bingo, here's the dog, the 8th generation's right there. So remember that this dog had 2 parents, which had 2 parents, which had 2 parents, which had 2 parents, which had 2 parents. So this dog, the 8th generation, has got 50% genes from a mother and a father here. This is the mother and the father here. So this has got 50% from the previous generation. Gets 25%, since there's 4 grandparents, it's 25% for the next generation, and it gets 12.5% from that, and 6.25% from that, and 3 1/8 from that, and 1.5 from that, and 7%, 0.7%. Look, we're to the point where, if you look at this 8th generation, there are something in the order of a couple of hundred dogs in that lineup. that all contributed towards this. So basically what I'm saying here is, if you go back 8 generations, you know that it's spread out over such a wide number of all supposedly AKC dogs that this has got to be an AKC dog. I'm probably getting you confused on this, and I don't think I'm doing a very good job of explaining this. But the point here is that no dog is really purebred, but if you can go back certainly 5 generations, certainly definitely 8 generations, and you can see they're all French Bulldogs in that lineup. It's a French Bulldog. So then you've got people like Embark who will do a parentage test. You can send off a swab cheek sample to Embark and they'll come back with a parentage. And they'll show you how much of your dog is what you hope it is. So you might get an answer that might come back and say that your French Bulldog is 80% French Bulldog and 20% Boston Terrier. And if you got that back, you probably might not be very happy with that, because you're like, I brought a purebred French Bulldog. Where's the 20% Boston Terrier in there? Well, the problem gets to be in the way that Embark does a parentage test. What they look for is they have done lots and lots of tests on USA French Bulldogs. And they have looked at those dogs and they say, okay, these are all AKC dogs. They've got the lineage that shows it, so we believe they're purebred. Now, let's look at genetic markers for this group of dogs that we tested, maybe 1,000 dogs. And they see there's commonality in markers they see that are in that whole base. So they say, okay, this is if we see these markers here, A, B, C, D, F, they don't mean anything, H, F, they're just markers. But if we see a dog that has this markers like this, we can be relatively certain that that is a French Bulldog. And we'll say that's 100% French Bulldog, and we'll put that on the form. The problem gets to be when this dog that was tested had European bloodlines. Came from Russia, came from the Ukraine, came from Holland. The problem is that group was not part of this group right here. So now you've got another set of markers, still a French Bulldog, still purebred, but it's not in this group here. And then they come back and say the dog is not 100% French Bulldog. Now, so what does this do for you? Well, the answer is that if your dog comes back 100% whatever, French Bulldog, German Shepherd, whatever, you don't have to worry about it because you know you're good. The problem gets to be when it says it's something less than that. And then what do you do? Well, I mean, the test is not reliable. This is the problem. That the test does not guarantee that they're saying it's something other than a French Bulldog means it is. Here's the first thing I do. Look at the silly dog. I mean, I can tell you what a Boston Terrier looks like, and I can tell you what a French Bulldog looks like, and I can tell you what a Frenchton looks like, a cross between a French Bulldog and a Boston. Obviously, the more Frenchy you've gotten there, the less Boston, the less Frenchton it is, and the more Frenchy it is. But you can look at the parents, you can look at the dog, and if they all look just classically like a French Bulldog, I won't get worried about it too much. And then I would ask the question, are there foreign bloodlines in my pedigree? Because if there are, that almost certainly is where the problem is. So, okay. Thanks for watching the video. I hope you got some good information out of it. I hope you subscribe to our channel. Brought to you by mybreedersupply.com. We've been in business for over 8 years. We manufacture products to help you have successful breedings, successful whelps, and successful puppies. We've introduced a new subscription service, canineconnect.com. It's a 1-year subscription for $129, and for that you get 2-day free shipping on all of your orders. You get 5% off every order that you place, and you get direct access to our support line to help you with products that you buy from us and general questions about breeding your dogs. It's really a great deal. I hope you subscribe to that. Now the disclaimer. I'm not a licensed veterinarian. I'm not a professional health giver, but I am a guy that's been breeding dogs successfully for over 20 years. Any information you get from my videos is purely at your own risk. If you have any doubts about any of this stuff, you should definitely seek the help of a licensed professional. Again, thanks for watching. Have fun with your doggies. Bye, buddy.